Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 long weeks, we're back in action with episode 7 of Sondik and Mengel, staying safe and staying home. But we're here to bring you the sports content you've been craving for a month now. There's no sports on, but we want to put you onto some documentaries, new shows, anything to keep these difficult times interesting. Granty, what have you been watching, man?
Well, like you said, we're staying safe right now, and there has been a lot of watching TV. I watched Tiger win the Masters last year again. Phil, I watched him win it. I saw some Cubs 2016 World Series, brought back some good memories there. And then Netflix, great show, All American. Now, most of you hopefully have heard of it by now because it's one of the big new series out there. It's about a football player, lives out in Crenshaw in California, comes from a bad neighborhood, goes to the Beverly Hills School to play football and try and get his way out of there. It's a very inspiring and emotional story. It's actually based on a true story. Season 2 just came out pretty recently, and you can watch both of those on Netflix. What about you? What have you been watching?
Yeah, I'm gonna support the All American idea. I was hooked. Those 2 seasons I flew. I'm dying for season 3 at this point. Been watching the Tiger King. It's been everywhere with memes and everything, but like it's just so interesting. Like, did Carol Baskin kill her husband? We don't know. That's why you gotta watch the show. I've also on YouTube. I've been watching this series about the Mariners and how like they're the craziest franchise ever in Major League Baseball. It's like 6 parts. They've only released part 3, but I really realize now that Ken Griffey Jr. like he was pretty good at baseball. So
Yeah, I got no complaints with either of those. I've been checking out the Tiger King too. A lot of interesting characters in that one. But
100%.
we'll hop into some sports here though. There's been a little bit of news here. We've heard a lot about the MLB and what they're gonna try and do. And one of the realizations they came to is they might have to play games at the spring training facilities in Arizona and Florida. So out in the Cactus League, it would split up into 3 divisions, and it would be the Northeast. You get the Cubs, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, the Athletics. The West Division would be the Dodgers, White Sox, Reds, Indians, and Angels. In the Northwest would be the Brewers, Padres, Mariners, Rangers, and Royals. And I'll let Sondik take over for the Grapefruit League here.
Yeah, so the Grapefruit League is pretty interesting to me. I mean, in the North, you got the Yankees, Phillies, Blue Jays, Tigers, and Pirates. In the South, you got the Red Sox, Twins, Braves, Rays, and Orioles. And in the East, this division is loaded. You got the Nationals, Astros, Mets, Cardinals, and Marlins. It's, I mean, very interesting all around. Remember, these facilities are based on where they are in Florida, obviously, in Arizona, and the respective leagues, like in the state themselves. So before they're classified by that. But Granty, do you think this is possible in any way? Because it sounds all right on paper. Weird division, but is it plausible in any way?
Yeah, on paper, it sounds really interesting, and I would love to see if they could pull it off. And the spring training facilities, I mean, they play there a month every year, so they're geared up enough where you could host games. And I'm sure other teams already know of hotels they would stay at. They already have all that stuff planned out. But the problem for me is, how are you going to get all the umps out there? How is just the logistics behind it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And they still would have to do more spring training beforehand again. And if this starts to clear up, do you just switch it back to do you just go back to all your home cities and like start the season from there with the same divisions? Like, how does it work? Because I think at this point they're still holding out hope where they could play a somewhat normal season in their own home stadiums, even if it's cut very short with double headers and stuff. But you go to Arizona and Florida, it changes the dynamics completely. And I feel like people might not count this as a real season. So you win the World Series, it doesn't mean as much. And is it plausible? Yes, but it would be very hard to pull it off. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You got to think about it already now. Like we're already midway through April. Like Jackie Robinson Day is tomorrow, and there's nothing's operational. Like the country's still on shutdown. And like you said before, getting spring training games in beforehand already, and I don't know because I don't. It's definitely not possible to go from playing the games in these 2 states to normal. Like that would be such a nightmare. So I feel like if they had to do this, they'd have to be certain that MLB couldn't function as it usually does. And, like, I don't know, like you said, the World Series, like, you win 60 out of 100 games, but, like, I don't know. The divisions are different, like, division titles would be weird, pennants would be weird. It would honestly it's obviously unprecedented, like, this whole year in sports has been, and the world has been. So, I think, like you said, it'd be plausible, but I think a logistical nightmare when it really comes down to it.
I agree with that, but I mean, to me, as a sports fan with nothing going on, some baseball is better than no baseball. What are your feelings towards that? Or should they just kind of look forward to the 2021 season and get ready for spring training next year? Because you see guys like Syndergaard and Sale who are just like, well, I'm going to get Tommy John now because this is probably the best time to do any of that.
Yeah, I think, see, I'm conflicted because, like I said, I'm agree with you that some baseball is better than no baseball, but at a certain point, the longer they stay off now, how exciting and more complete it's going to feel if, God forbid, they have to come back in March of 2021. So I think no baseball is better than some baseball, excuse me, is better than no baseball. But I at the same time, I could definitely see March of 2021 when everything is, knock on wood, back to as close to normal as we can see, and I feel like starting a season fresh definitely has benefits as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. But, you just take a look at these divisions. And like you said, the Red Sox, they're not with the Yankees. And that's one of the biggest rivalries, not only in baseball, but all of sports. So does this take away from the rivalry if they were to play in this new format?
I don't think so. I mean, they definitely wouldn't play 19 times a year like they do. I mean, those are all bloodbaths. They last 4 hours. Like, my God. But it would definitely feel weird. Like the Red Sox, like rivals. I'm looking at like Orioles have been terrible for years. Like the Rays are always good, but the Red Sox and them never really had a rivalry. And then the Braves are in a whole different league, and the Twins and the Red Sox don't really have any postseason history. So I feel like a lot of the rivalry temporarily would be taken off, but I feel like once they start playing normal games again, it'll just be back on. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you hit the nail on the head there, where they would be able to pick right back up where they left off. But I think it's kind of a chance to see some matchups that, as a fan, you really don't get to see very often. I mean, some of the divisions, like you said, you've got the Yankees and the Pirates. Like normally, those two teams don't play at all, but no, not at all. They play during interleague, but it's every 3 or 4 years, and so you get to see that probably 7 or 9 games in a season, which is a totally different experience. And I just think that it would provide some very interesting new matchups and maybe not rivalries, but it could create some new connections going forwards where it's like, oh, remember in that shortened season when these two teams battled it out for the Grapefruit North Division and like they play each other, and that could bring some more meaning to those games.
Yeah, let's not get it twisted. Like in the NFL, I remember like 20 years ago, like they had replacement players, like literally guys that weren't good. Like some of them, a handful of them were good, but it was a whole different league. At this point, it would be the same players you know and love, it would be as condensed as it could possibly be. But I mean, you're right. The matchups would be interesting. I really don't think they have any meaning. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be more cool than anything. But I think I would still be I still love that a lot of division teams are in the same division. Like you got 3/5 of the NL West are in the Northeast of the Cactus League. But you still have, and it's seeing the Dodgers Angels in the West, like that's cool. So there's definitely some positives to it, but it just doesn't have the same meaning as like grinding against four of those teams 19 times a year. You know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, out of these divisions, do any stick out to you? Is one of them the best, one of them the worst, really, in your eyes?
This is gonna look really biased, but I swear it's not. I think not the Cactus, sorry, the Grapefruit League East is just kind of nuts. You got the Nationals, Astros, and Cardinals, three of the final four teams last year, and two teams that played in the World Series. And then you have the Mets, who, I'm gonna say, bias aside, they were a solid team last year. They were in the playoff race until mid September when they did what the Mets do and choke. And then the Marlins, I think their young talent, while they're not developed yet. Those guys, you have guys that are loaded that team could potentially be good in a couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys do. What about you? Best division?
I've got to agree with you on the best one. I think, like you said, you get the World Series from last year, plus the Cardinals who made it to the NLCS. Mets are always a threat with their rotation. Yeah. And the worst has to be the Northwest out in the Cactus League. I mean, the Brewers are a good team, but then you get Padres, Mariners, Rangers, Royals. They're all still well, the Padres have the rebuild underway and they're starting to push forward, but those other teams are just kind of stuck in neutral right now, not really getting anywhere. Do you see any specific matchups that look interesting within divisions that you might not get usually?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna take a look here. Like I said, Dodgers Angels would be really cool. The Reds Indians, I didn't even notice that before. I mean, the Battle of Ohio a little bit. Obviously the World Series matchups would be cool. I mean, I guess you could look at like World Series rematches. Like the first one that comes to hit my mind is Yankees Phillies '09. I can date myself really here with my sports history. Twins Braves played in the World Series years ago. So like teams that like probably haven't played these teams a lot since these massive meetings. I think my eye directly goes directly to those. What about you? Any matchups that really stick out to you?
Yeah, I definitely the Yankees Phillies one for some reason just caught my eye. Two big cities in the same division always does. I like the trio of Boston, Minnesota, Atlanta. I think all those three are very good. Even though the Rays in there, like that's a very solid division. Those are four teams that could have some interesting games. And then the Cactus League, as a little bit of a homer, I would love to, like the Cubs Athletics. Like it's not the most exciting series, but that's a team that I rarely get to see play. Oakland's a very solid team, always in the playoff hunt. I just think it'd be a very good and exciting matchup to see out there. And then I'm kind of disappointed with this though because the Astros are in division with teams that hate them a little bit less than if they were in their regular division. And I don't want to see the Astros get off free like this. They need to pay the consequences for what they did.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, God, I hope that teams don't lose that fuel. Like when they come back. Like, don't let this distract you from the fact that the Astros still cheated. And yes, those teams that hate them a little less. I mean, the Cardinals. You can think about the old NL Central battles. Like the Cardinals, them and the old Pujols, Brad Lidge battles in the playoffs, and the
Lance
Nationals.
Berkman,
Oh my God, absolutely! Like the
Roy Oswald, all those good characters.
Oh my god, yeah, and like they have the history there. I definitely would have loved. It would have been sick to see them with the Dodgers. That would have been awesome because there's a lot of bad blood there, especially because like the Dodgers really feel hosed of that one naturally because that's when it happened. And they didn't win a home game. They didn't win a game in Houston. Sorry. So yeah, I agree though. Teams should like forget that the Astros cheated just because baseball isn't being played. Like that still happened, and people should still be pissed about it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But we'll move forward into one of the other leagues that's trying to figure out what to do. The NBA has talked about how they could restart the season, discussing a 3-week training camp for guys to get back into game shape. Teams have about 15 regular season games remaining as of now, but there's a lot of different opinions out there on how the rest of this season should be concluded. What do you think the best option is right now?
So the basketball fan in me is like play every single game, play the regular season, and abbreviate the playoffs. But I don't know. I feel like if the NBA came back, there's no point to play regular season games. Like if they were to come back this year, you got to go right to the playoffs, and you probably have to at least have the first round be best of five, maybe the first two rounds. Because if you want, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the regular season. It's not these year. These aren't normal times. You're not going to get the usual flow you get. Like the Saturday the playoffs would be starting, but obviously they're not. So I think we have to adapt and overcome. I It pains me to say it, but I think the NBA restarting in October is definitely there's definitely a ton of perks there in a way more than MLB because I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the NBA, a ton of the season was already played, and I feel like with awards to like awards and best teams, like those accomplishments still matter. I know they'll matter less. Like the Bucks and Lakers won't get a chance to play for the championship for the Clippers or so on. But I don't know. I feel like if it comes back, it has to be playoffs. But I'm definitely not opposed if it helps the quality to just scrap it and go to October. What do you think?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're going to have to scrap the rest of the regular season, which, I mean, at least the playoffs are fairly set at this point because there's the 16 teams that are there are going to be the 16 teams in it at this point, which is good. But it kind of kills me because you say it should be abbreviated, but some of those first round matchups, you get Boston, Philly, you get Clippers, Dallas, and you get Houston, Denver. Those are three series that would absolutely. Clippers a little bit less likely because they're the better team there. Don't get me wrong, but those are some series that could go 6 to 7 games, and if they have to shorten it to 5, I feel like they're just as a fan, they're depriving me of what I deserve after this incredible regular season. It sucks to see what's happening right now because we were really getting geared towards a fantastic playoff race, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like my predictions before. I think we were kind of destined to see. In my opinion, I think we were destined to see LeBron Giannis in the finals, especially with the year that the Lakers have had as a franchise, dealing with the death. I mean, the whole league dealing with the death of Kobe, but specifically the Lakers, specifically LeBron James, and that storyline would have been epic, epic as ever. And especially if we got LA in the conference finals, because everyone was gearing up for that. LeBron versus AD, Kawhi Paul George, and now it really doesn't matter, and it's a crusher for sure. I kind of disagree with you. I think 5 game series, like they used to do it years ago, like before we were born, of the first round in Game 5. And if anything, teams are going to play even harder going at each other because there's less time to make up a deficit. Like there's no going down 3-1. Like once they hit three, it's over, obviously. So I feel like there would still be a ton of action in those 5 games. But I do get because the 7 game series are beautiful. Like you, one team gets three, one team gets three, and then Game 7 it's all on the line. So
Game seven's the best thing. Yeah, best two words in sports. Game
Game
seven.
7, 100%. And Game 5 is like it's a 1B, I would say. I mean, definitely I'm gonna take the MLB first round. Like those series are amazing. Like watching, I remember in 2015 Game 5 for the Mets. Like any elimination game is definitely the two best words in sports for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have another little crazier idea, I think, of what they can do. And it's probably just the college basketball fan in me who's really sad we didn't get March Madness. But you didn't finish the regular season, so some of those teams are probably would be a little upset not getting any more games down the stretch. So what if you just take all 30 teams and you put them into a bracket and you give the Lakers and the Bucks, the one seed in each, a bye, and then you just seed the rest of it and you play best of. You can just do single elimination or you could do best of 3 series, and then I don't know how easy it would be, but I just think that would be a very interesting way to go about it. And like I said, didn't get March Madness, so I'm a little sad about that.
Oh, trust me, like, oh my god, the fact that March Madness, like, the time period came and went when it would have been, like, oh my god, terrible. But no, I mean, that's not the worst idea I've heard. Like, no ideas are bad ideas in a time like this, I'll say. And I feel like I think you're mentioning of what Dinwiddie mentioned about doing that, and it gives the bad teams a chance. Like, who knows? Like, it could be NBA Cinderellas, and I would say not more than often the higher seed wins. Like you got the We Believe Warriors in '07, like that was awesome. But that doesn't happen that much in the NBA. So yeah, that would increase parity. The bad teams wouldn't complain, and it would really see who the best team because they the best team would be because they'd be including all of them. So not the
Yeah,
craziest idea I've heard.
yeah, I agree with that too. But like, if you're telling me a few teams that are missing the playoffs, like Portland, you're telling me Dame and CJ couldn't get hot and run that thing for a while. You're telling me Zion and Lonzo and Drew and they couldn't go deep in that thing as a non-playoff team. Like, I just think there would be some very interesting stories out there, which that would just make it even more interesting. Like I said, if it's single elimination, anything goes. But even in a 3 game series, like you want them playing hard. Those are two options right there.
Yeah, like I'm gonna even think of like bad teams that really aren't good, but like star power, like that are built for like March Madness type runs. Like think about can you imagine the Hawks like take down the Hawks take down Toronto in a best of three, and Trey Young averages like 45 a game. Like crazy stuff like that could happen. So
Devin Booker out in Phoenix taking over, scoring
yeah,
40 like that. Yeah,
yeah, Devin Booker
the
in the
star
playoffs.
players. What?
No, Devin Booker in the playoffs. Finally, I was just making a joke.
Oh yeah, he'll get there eventually. But you do that, or like even Zach LaVine in Chicago, like he can go off. Any of those guys that are superstars that haven't really had the chance to shine in the playoffs yet, it would give them a little opportunity to show what they're made of.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and it would show these guys like no matter like it would give these guys even a more it would give them like a preview of what to work for to get their bad teams to the playoffs. So I think regardless if the NBA, regardless, I'll be excited for the NBA to come back whenever it comes back, whenever they deem it safe enough to do so.
Yeah, that's for sure. I need some sort of sports back. But continuing with the NBA a little bit more, there's been reports of the draft getting moved to August in order to get the playoffs in. So, what do you think about this idea? Should the draft get moved to August, or should they keep it in June, or how should we go about this whole thing in this unprecedented time?
Well, I mean, the draft is one. I know there's other factors to it, but the draft itself is one night in one city for a couple hours, and I feel like it could do no harm to push it to August. I mean, it's all depending on the season in all fairness, because if the season's gonna start as it normally would, I don't know how the rookie summer league worked. Like that's a whole nother story. But if the NBA was to do the playoffs and have the start the playoffs in June hypothetically and end them in August, have the draft in August, and then start the season Christmas, that could be potentially. But a lot of things have to fall into place. I do feel though, as of now, especially still practicing social distancing, I think having the draft in August definitely. I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, Goodell's doing the draft from his basement in a couple weeks, so I think it'll work regardless of what they decide to do.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping they push it back to August because we didn't even get the combine yet, and I think there's a lot of unanswered questions about guys. James Wiseman only played a handful of games in college. LaMelo Ball has played overseas for a few years. Those are questions that people are going to want answers to before putting their chips on the table and taking one of those guys with the first or second overall pick. I mean, these are franchise altering moves, and I feel like you can't just have a draft without knowing more about the players.
Yeah, oh my god, I completely agree. Like, think about the amount of busts that have happened with the combine. Like, imagine you don't even get a chance to look at these guys. And you're like, oh, I'll take that guy. It kind of you get close to guessing at some point. And guys, it's weird because two of the top like five picks, in my opinion, at this point, Wiseman and Ball, both didn't have take the conventional college route. Like, even Anthony Edwards didn't play at a huge stage at Georgia because they really weren't good. So in a year full of the unprecedented, it just gets crazier. But I think you're right. I think making a decision without the combine would be nuts.
Yeah, I agree with that. All I got to say is just take Obi Toppin. You can't do anything wrong with that right there.
Yeah, player of the year for a reason. I mean, it's a oh my god, it's such a shame because like you were high on them. I was quite wrong about which team was better, Dayton, San Diego State. But we'll never get to know, even though you told me San Diego State second round exit. We really won't know. But yeah, Obi Toppin, monster.
Yeah, man, I wish we had March Madness. But we'll talk about the other draft, the more relevant one that's coming up. Goodell in his basement reading out the picks after getting a phone call from the GMs. NFL draft. Bengals are on the clock. They have been for a while now. So will the Bengals regret taking Joe Burrow if they get him? All signs are pointing to the Tiger King staying a part of the same species. So
Ah, I'm so happy we got that line in there. Oh my god, so relevant at a time like this. I don't think the Bengals regret it. I mean, if he stinks, everyone's gonna torture them because they're the Bengals, and if they pick a bad quarterback, they'll get hell for it. But I mean, the guy threw for 60 touchdowns last year, man. Like 7 touchdowns against the number fourth ranked team in the nation and a half. Like I don't know, guys don't really. That's never been done before. Arguably the best individual college season ever. They went 15-0, ran the table, yada yada yada. I don't think they regret it. I no one's a sure thing, but I feel like there's no other like selection that could put them in a better place than they need to be.
yeah, I think you argue you put probably 25 other teams in that position, and they're also taking Joe Burrow. I mean, there's the guys that already like Kansas City obviously wouldn't take Burrow, but that's why they won the Super Bowl. So if you put 20 to 25 other teams in that same number one slot, and they're picking Joe Burrow 100% of the time because, like you said, statistically one of the greatest college seasons of all time, what he did out there. So I think you're stupid if you don't take him, and you would 100%. You can't pass on that. The what if, the ceiling, everything's too high, and he's got the personality. I think that there's no one better to roll the dice on, and it's not even a dice roll at this point. I think a lot of people think he's going to turn out to be a very good quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's a no brainer. I mean, to be fair, they kind of have no better options. They platooned Andy Dalton and Ryan Lindley, and I don't know if they wanted to win or lose, and they didn't know which guy would do either result for them. It was just a crapshoot this year. Joe Burrow's got to win more games than he did last year. Like, I mean, hopefully we have football, knock on wood. But yeah, it's Burrow or bust.
Yeah, so then Burrow goes off the table at 1. What happens at 2? Where do the Redskins go there?
I mean, I seeing those Tua rumors pisses me off because why take Dwayne Haskins last year and have him play like 5 games if you're not going to give him a shot? I think you got to go Chase Young. I mean, his confidence is through the roof. He thinks he's the best player in the draft, and I think, like I said, there's no sure things. I think he's the closest thing to a sure thing. I mean, tore it up at Ohio State. I think the Redskins got to go Chase Young. He could lead the defense, and once you got one leader on the defense, the pieces filling all around you. You got to give Haskins a shot. And I mean, quarterbacks come and go, but once in a generational type defensive players, you don't get those every draft. So I think you got to go Chase Young, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I once again you put 25 other teams in that position. They're taking Chase Young there, and like you said, you give Haskins 5 games just to pass him off for Tua. That's just Josh Rosen vibes right there. The Cardinals are like, I guess we'll take Kyler, and Josh, you go figure out the rest of your career somewhere else. I just think it sends a bad sign of being unstable as an organization. And I mean, Dan Snyder, obviously, very unstable organization. Like, there's red flags everywhere. You're not going to get free agents to want to come there. You got to take Chase Young. Like you said, one of the safest options in the draft, just a complete monster. Tore it up in the Big Ten. No problem taking him.
Yeah, man. I don't know. The Redskins are so bad at developing quarterbacks. Like, I can't even remember. I mean, Kirk Cousins was good for was pretty decent for them, and he got way too much money in my opinion. But whatever. And then I mean, I don't know. The Redskins fans haven't been excited in a while, and I feel like Chase Young, plus like that Chase Young, Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State connection. Even like, my God, you got two guys from the same college that already have a bond, like being united on the same team. I feel like the Redskins need to do whatever they can to build that team from the ground up. So Chase Young all the way.
Yeah, and then there's one more very interesting team. The Miami Dolphins have 3 first-round picks at 5, 18, and 26. And after finishing last year on an extremely positive note, they pushed New England to play and ultimately losing Tom Brady's final game in a Patriot uniform. What should they look to do? Do they trade up for Tua if he doesn't go at 2? Do they wait and try and catch him at 5? Because the other teams in front of them, the Lions and Giants, seem to have their quarterbacks, but with 3 picks in the first round, anything goes really. What should their plan of attack be?
Well, I mean, I do think Tua will fall to 5, especially because the injury reports lately have not been favoring him, and teams are obvious and for good reason scared of him, scared of his health. But I think the Dolphins. I don't think they need to trade up. I mean, if they really want the guarantee, they to get Tua at 3. I still think he gets to 5, unless the Lions really want to mess with them and think, oh, we want to go to a different direction and take Tua. I don't think he fits there at all. I mean, they have they have 3 first round picks, 5, 18, and 26. And I don't know. I feel like I saw a proposed trade. They trade for the third pick, and they should give up the fifth and 39th. Why give up a second round pick if you don't have to? I think Chase Young should be a lock at 2. If the Redskins, it, I don't know. I feel like they can't rely on the Redskins to take Tua and for their draft position. They got to focus on them. And I think Tua will get to them at 5. So I think they should just stay put. I don't know if they will. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think like 3 first-round picks, you can do a lot of damage with that, and trading them away just for 1 pick. We've seen what happened. Trubisky, I said it. Trubisky, the Bears traded up. They threw away a few more picks. Haven't had draft capital the last few years because of it. Ryan Pace, thank you so much for that. It's fine. We have Nick Foles now, I guess, or whatever. But back to the team we're talking about here. Sorry about that. Yeah, 3 first-round picks. You hit on 2 of those that become NFL starters and decent players. That solidifies a roster a lot more than moving. I mean, quarterback is very important, but this team was on the right path. I think you've got to continue to build it the right way. And even if, say, a team does trade up and takes Tua over them, you've still got Herbert sitting there, and Fitzpatrick can hold the fort down for a little bit while Herbert's getting ready. I don't think you throw picks away.
Yeah, the Dolphins they can't afford to throw picks away. I mean, they ended it's so interesting with them because everyone wants to say how bad they were, and trust me, they were really bad, but they knew it. And the way you end a season last year, like now that Tom Brady left, that game looks like the game that kind of knocked them out of New England. Like not directly because the Titans technically did that, but they don't play the Titans that game, and who knows how far they go. So the Dolphins, in a way, changed the NFL and the way it looks next year. So I feel like they can't, like you said, they can't afford to give up draft picks willy nilly. And I think Justin Herbert could learn under Fitzpatrick. I mean, say what you want about Fitzpatrick, but the guy's been in the league for that long. He's got to be doing something right. I think he could be a good mentor for whoever they decide to pick at 5.
Yep, I'm on the same page as you, but let's head into some quick fire questions here. Who will have the better career? We'll start with the quarterbacks, Burrow or Tua.
Ah, this is so tough. So I'm gonna throw in a clause, obviously. Barring no injuries, I'm giving the edge to Tua because of the way that the game has evolved. You have guys that have excelled playing like he does, like Lamar Jackson, like not as mobile, but still very mobile as we've seen in Super Bowl champ Patty Mahomes. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Tua, but with Joe Burrow, I feel like is a less of a risk as an injury. So if you want stability, like in regards to health, I would take Joe Burrow, but I think Tua has a better career. What do you think?
I mean, out of the quarterbacks, I actually have Justin Herbert as the best career. I think when it's all said and done, he's got everything you're looking for in a guy. But if I have to choose between the two, just give me Burrow. The injuries worry me. Could end up you never. It's just too sketchy. You never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I mean, it's take your pick. I mean, they both could stink. They both could be awesome. One could be good. You just don't know how it translates to the next level and like the situation they're in. I mean, we kind of know what situation Burrow will be in, but we really don't know where Tua will be. So it depends which teams pass on him and which teams don't.
Yeah. All right. We're moving to wide receivers. Judy, Ruggs, or Lamb. Which one has the best career?
I'm gonna go Jerry Judy. I mean, Henry Ruggs fast as fast as all hell, and I mean, CeeDee Lamb put up ridiculous numbers at Oklahoma last year. I mean, 13, 27 yards, 14 TDs. I mean, Judy did like, insanely close to that in 2018, like 12 less yards, same amount of touchdowns, and still was good last year with 1,110 touchdowns. So I'm gonna give the edge to Jerry Judy. I think all three of these guys that we picked in the first round. I mean, they're studs, and I think all three teams will be better with all three of these guys. But I'm gonna give the edge to Jerry Judy. What about you?
I'm gonna end up taking the other guy from Alabama, Ruggs. Just watching him, his route running ability is what makes him so great. He's not he's not like the super physical freak or anything like that. He's not the burner that CD Lamb is, but he can get himself open against almost anybody, any coverage. I think that bodes very well for the NFL. I'm gonna go with Ruggs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's take your pick. But switching over to defense now, we're gonna do a little battle of the Buckeyes here. Better career, Jeff Okuda, Chase Young. What you got?
I'm actually gonna. I know Chase Young's been the hyped up guy here, but give me Jeff Okuda. Just some of his interviews, just watching the way he plays. He's a very clean player, doesn't get many penalties at all, and he's got that personality. He's got the Jalen Ramsey, the Deion Sanders. I think he's going to be a premier cornerback in this league.
I'm gonna go Chase Young off pure, like I said before, close to a sure thing. Jeff Okuda though, man, he's a dog. I mean, some reporter kept asking him like, how do you feel about being sloppy last year? And Okuda was like, yeah, I had no defensive pass interferences. Like, watch the tape, and you watch the tape, and he was right. Uh, I've never, I he should not be overlooked. And I think if Chase Young goes to the Redskins, I feel like you have a point because the Redskins always find a way to screw up careers. So it'll be interesting. Give me Chase Young though. I mean, I'm buying into the hype, but like, who isn't?
Yeah, these are two of the best players in the draft. Can't go wrong either way. Just some fun speculation here. One more football question. The XFL is gone now. Just horrible timing for the XFL to open because who would have seen this pandemic coming? Will we ever see the XFL again? Yes or no? Just quick answer.
Yeah, I have to say no. It's tragic because it was so fun, like, with the right after, like, a guy threw a pick, the interview is right in his face, like, it was unlike anything we've seen. I just don't think, especially with a time like this, like, with the economy and sports reeling, I think the already, established sports, I think are gonna get the edge. So that wasn't really a short answer, but, summing up, no. What do you think?
I'm gonna say yes. We'll see it again in 2022. I won't give a really short answer either, but yes, 2022. McMahon saw it; it was profitable. I think he'll try and rev it up again. It had some strong building blocks that they can tweak it a little bit, make it even better.
Yeah, I mean, I I'm being pessimistic there. It would be so cool. I think they can expand it around the country too, even and get teams actually involved. Because I think this year I was just kind of watching every team to see like what the deal was with each team. I couldn't really have a rooting interest. So I love your optimism. I'm being pessimistic here, but I mean you're right. Vince McMahon will do anything to make this league. So we'll see.
Yeah, all right, and we're running overtime here a little bit. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying here with us today. I mean, I'm sure you don't have a lot going on right now, and we've given a few recommendations of what we have been watching. But now, Sondik, I want to hear what's something coming up on TV that you're looking forward to.
So, for anyone that thinks anyone else is the greatest basketball player of all time, I implore you to watch the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary, first part on Sunday night on ESPN. I feel like people don't appreciate Jordan's greatness, and this isn't being a LeBron hater. This is just saying that recency bias shouldn't dictate who the best player of all time is. Michael Jordan's greatness and that was Bulls teams. They won six in a decade. I think there's no doubt they win eight in a row. If Jordan doesn't go to baseball, that's a whole different ball game. But watch Michael Jordan. What about you? What are you watching?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for that one. I'm happy they moved it up a lot. And then on April 15th, Wednesday night, if you're looking for something to watch on ESPN from about 7 till 11, probably, they're showing Los Angeles Lakers versus Orlando Magic, game 5 of the 2009 finals. And then after that, your favorite game, probably Lakers Celtics, game 7, 2010.
Yeah, my favorite game. Ha ha ha. Today's kids will never know that in that game, it wasn't Kobe that hit the shot. It wasn't Pau Gasol. It wasn't Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum. No, it was Meta World Peace Ron Artest that broke my heart in 2010. Definitely watch that. I mean, watching Kobe do what he does best, even without Shaq, with those both those finals were exciting to watch. Seeing him do what he does best. So, got to give it up for Kobe, man.
Yeah, all right. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stay safe, stay inside. All right. I mean, it's nice enough. Go for a walk. Just stay 6 feet apart. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, everyone stay safe. Hope everyone's doing well. Wash your hands, get outside, learn something new, read a book, do whatever you gotta do to stay safe during this unprecedented time. As always, folks, let's ride.